So, welcome to this Tuesday Tech training today on organizing email. More theory than practice, I think, is what we'll do today. Questions welcome, but we're going to try not to do anything specific to any program because all of this can work in any email program on any platform. So, Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, it can all work on the various email programs that are out there. And if you're listening on the replay on YouTube, please like this video and please subscribe to our Blind Canadians channel so that you can get notified of future training sessions, and we seem to have lots of them. And we also post other things, any of our other events, and National Accessibility Week is coming up, so we'll be posting something on that as well. All right. So a lot of people have issues organizing their emails and finding the one they want, and just trying to figure out how to organize things so that it's not just one inbox with thousands of emails that you have to go searching for things. So how to get it so that you can find what you want and so that things are a little more organized and so that your inbox is not as cluttered. And first of all, what we'll deal with is the inbox itself. So usually the default for most email programs is that they are sorted by the date that you receive something. So sometimes newest messages are on top, sometimes oldest messages are on top. That's a personal preference, and you can flip them if you find you don't like that particular order. You can flip them, but you can also sort your email by subject, by the sender. So if you like your email sorted by sender, you can do that. You can also sort them by you can group them into conversations so that you have, instead of say 1,000 emails, you may have 800 conversations. So the emails will be grouped and the conversations can be collapsed so that you can literally arrow down and hear the subject line of the conversation, meaning the whole message thread. All of the messages that have the same subject are all grouped together, and you can delete a conversation if you're not interested, just with one delete on the subject of the conversation. You don't have to read 20 messages and delete 20 messages. So it just depends on how you want to deal with your email and how you find, you know, how comfortable you are with finding like emails or finding the topics, because it's always good to, if you have a conversation going, it's always good to read the most recent email and make sure that you're not responding to something that's already been dealt with. I do that all the time. I forget, and I'll read the first email in the conversation if I've missed, if this has started before I got around to reading my email, and then I'll reply, and then I'll realize, oh, yeah, someone else already said that. Sorry. So, um, so there are, like I said, every email program has all of this. Every email program, you can group them, you can sort them. There's nothing, there are no email programs that I know of these days that don't have this capability. I'm going to stop there and see if there are any questions about what to do with an inbox, like just the inbox. And just shout it out. There are it's not a big group, so. No comments?
I just want to say one thing about conversations is
Sure.
a lot of times when you're with conversations, especially for those of us that don't like using them, um, you'll find when you're setting up your mail for the first time on pretty much every mail program, as Marcia said, conversations for new accounts seems to be enabled by default, and you do have to turn it off if you don't want it as well too. And I believe conversations, when you are grouping by conversation, the conversations will span multiple mailboxes. So even if you sorted your mail, if the newest reply in a conversation ends up in your inbox, the entire conversation reappears back in your inbox as well too. So that's the other thing to keep in mind is conversations may, in some circumstances, span multiple mailboxes if you've already sorted your mail.
Oh, I have a question.
Sure, Sue.
My conversations are always texts.
Okay, we're not talking about text today, though?
No,
We're
but what I
talking-
mean is I didn't know that you could do conversations in email as well.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. But in
Yeah.
your case, Sue, probably you've turned off the feature, but like I said, when you set up mail for the first time, sometimes it's turned on by default. And so you've probably turned it off in your mail program settings already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
was just interested that you could have emails called conversations and sort them in that way. That's
Yeah,
new
you
information.
can. It's a different, though, when you say conversations, see, conversations in messages are grouped by the person, the actual person you're talking to. So it's the recipient or the sender, whichever way you want to look at it. Conversations in an email program are grouped by subject. So it's
Oh,
not exactly the same. It's sort of the same. If you wanted to do the same thing, you would sort your messages by recipient.
oh, that's
And that,
interesting.
yeah, so it's different, it's totally different, but you can create the same thing in mail. The trouble with that is, though, is that if you've been carrying on various conversations with someone, your recipient, like you could have messages from 3 years ago that are now showing up at the top of your mailbox because the recipient's name is Angie. And you could have, and they could be, like I said, from 3 years ago. So sorting in mail by person, by recipient, is not as convenient as it is in messages, because messages are more time, like it's usually they're conversations that happen in real time,
Yeah.
now. And the messages sorts by the date, like your conversations are sorted by date. So if you had a conversation 5 years ago with someone, that's on the last page of your messages. Like it's way down there, out of your way.
So
Whereas
messages and conversations in my case are registered in two different things.
Their mail and messages treat conversations differently.
Yeah, because
So you can't really you can compare them, but yeah.
I know. I just want to learn about how they are in mail because I'm not.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, in mail they would be by subject.
Oh,
So,
that's good.
yeah.
Okay,
So it would
thank
put
you.
all the mail, and then it would sort those conversations by date, usually so that you don't end up with conversations that are from 3 years ago at the top.
Because I did conversations in text because when I got my phone, I didn't know how to use mail. That's how that started. Yes.
Well,
Okay.
that's fine. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on?
Oh,
This is Louise. I have a question, and it relates back to ABC, so it's a good one. So say if you're on a committee, can you do it by committee, a conversation?
You can, well, the committee lists are email addresses. So you can sort by recipient. You can have your mailbox sorted so that all your committees are, all your advocacy committee emails are right, underneath each other, and all the communications committee emails would be all together. But again, you might want to do something different, because that could be awkward trying to find new messages. If you
Yeah.
sorted it that way, you might want to do something different, and we're
That gets
getting
into the next
to,
topic.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. I'll wait for it and see what I can figure out.
Yeah. See, Richard and I are on the same page.
Okay.
So, Richard, do you want to talk about
So
folders
now so thanks, Louis. That's
and
a perfect
rules?
segue into our next topic, which is folders. And I already know that you're familiar with folders. So folders allow you to kind of this similar to what Marcy was saying about organizing or dating, but it allows you to maybe change your inbox from something that has a couple thousand messages into it to something that's manageable, like maybe with only 30 or 40 messages. So the folders, what you do is you create folders based on subject areas. So let's go back to Louise's question about at AABC. So if you're on a number of AABC committees, you may want to sort your mail put those mail messages from various committees that you're on into separate folders. So AABC advocacy, for example, AABC training would be another one example. And then as you receive those messages in your inbox, you move them to folders. So for every mail program, you can create folders, and there are two places where you can create folders. So in the list of mailbox, you can create the folders as subfolders of your main mail account. So like if your main mail account is a Gmail account, it would be under the heading that says your name, for example, and you'd create your folders there. But if you want them as subfolders of, say, your inbox, for example, you would highlight your inbox and then create new folders below the inbox, and they come up as a third level of folders. So think of the list of folders like a tree. There's a main branch, which is your main account. There's a second level, which is which are the folders that already exist by default. So inbox, sent items, usually trash or deleted items, drafts if you've got mail in progress that you haven't finished, and the one that appears and disappears when you're sending mail in most mail programs is another one called outbox. But then you can create other folders within under the main branch, or as subfolders of, say, something like your inbox, or maybe that, or even your sent items, for example. I usually create folders below the main branch of my account. So then all my folders appear as level 2 in sort of the mailbox tree of folders. So they would be my inbox, my AABC training, other folders that I use for work related functions that I do for other organizations as well. And that's how I do it. Then I manually move messages from my inbox to those folders. So I've read the latest email from Marcy related to training. I decide, yes, I want to keep it. And then I actually then open up the context menu on that message and then move it to my training folder. That's the way to do it manually. Later, in Marcy or I will get into message rules where you can have your mail program do that automatically for you as it's downloading mail for you. Any questions on folders?
It's Peg. Yeah, so when you say the main branch, you're like, for example, Outlook or Gmail, that would be your main branch. So you would put those extra folders under Gmail level, not the inbox level. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I do. But
Yeah.
but most people might, because the inbox is easier to find, so it
Yeah.
is quite okay to have it as a level up below your inbox. I like it better below my main account, like especially in the case of like I've got multiple mail accounts that I use on my mail, so it's just easier to jump between and look for my subfolders there as opposed to the various inboxes. So the issue is if you you don't have this in Outlook, but for instance in Mac Mail, I can set favorite folders. So I have a combined inbox of all my mail accounts and then separate inbox for the other ones. And then it's just for me, it's just better to look for the folders associated with my Gmail account in the actual section of my mail where all my other Gmail folders are for that account.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Yeah.
just it's personal
Perfect, yeah.
preference.
Yeah.
And there's another kind of folder. If you want to save things for a long time and you want to make sure you save them, you can also create what you may have heard of as a personal folder file. And that saves things outside of the actual mail program. And it looks like it looks like another mailbox, but it's on its own outside of Outlook or Mac Mail, or it's separate. And if you tend to like to create things and save things, and you want to make sure that whether your mail program crashes or not, those things are safe, then a personal folder file is the way to go. And I'm pretty sure Mac can do it. PC, most of the mail programs can for sure. I have never tried to do it on iOS. I don't think you can do it there.
If you can.
Yeah, not sure.
Yeah,
Can
and then
we,
for
or
those that the
yeah.
only thing mail specific I'll get into with Mac Mail, for those that use Mac Mail, which I might be the only one here anyways, but there is a thing within Mac Mail called On My Mac, and but that isn't the personal folder file. That is just basically
Yeah.
storing within Mac Mail, but on the computer itself, as opposed to within your Gmail or Outlook Mail, like your Outlook account, if you're using Outlook Mail or iCloud even.
Okay, so, pardon me, I have a question, about saving then. How would I actually save a message if I want to keep it?
You just, if you wanted to keep, well, there are a few ways of saving things.
Yes.
If you don't want to create a personal folder file, or if you don't want to just make a folder in your email, you can always do file save as and actually save it in a folder in your, in File Explorer. And you can save it as a message, or you can save it as a text file. So you can do that too.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on, it depends when you want to say what you want to save and for how long, and how you want to be able to access it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
My email might not be this much longer, I don't know.
Yeah, like if like personally, Kathy,
Okay,
if I was
whoever.
on someone's phone's ringing. If I was only saving one or two messages, I would probably do what Marcy said and just save them in a file folder somewhere on my computer, like and just to have access to those specific messages. But if you're wanting to save an entire folder of messages, like or an entire conversation thread, like when we were talking about threading, then creating a personal mail folder is probably the way to do it to bulk save. But one or two messages at a time, I tend to do just save them as text files or the actual mail file somewhere else on my computer.
Yeah, and oh, sorry, did someone have a?
Well, I just had a question. It's Peg again about the personal folders. I have seen that. Now, is that device specific? In other words, if you have that, say, like I've gone Outlook on all my devices, but the personal folders you were saying are outside.
Yes, they are device specific. They're
You
on
have
the
to have
device.
Yeah, so you
They're
wouldn't.
on the device that
That's right. You can't
them
save
on.
them in all your devices. Well, you could. You'd have to do it
Well,
manually.
you could save them in the cloud if you had Dropbox or Google
Oh, yeah.
Drive or OneDrive, and you had access to it on all your computers. You could save it in the cloud.
But not in the
And you
personal
would have-
folder, right? Not in the
Yes,
personal.
yes, you
Oh.
could save a
You could
personal
just save it
folder
to your cloud
file
storage.
in the cloud, where, on Dropbox or on Google Drive or OneDrive, whichever one you use.
Oh, I see. So you
And
create a
then you
personal.
could access, and then you could access it on all your devices. Now, iOS, honestly, I don't know if it has the ability to link a personal folder file.
Oh, well, that's
I-
so you, under
I-
Dropbox or iCloud.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it
No.
does.
No, because I like on iOS, like you may not be able to save mail to a personal folder from iOS, but
Yeah, I
might
don't
be
think
able
you
to
can
access those
actually.
personal folders if they were saved to to Dropbox or Google Drive or something. They may be in that case, but that's sort of an indirect way of doing it. But like right from the mail program, you may not. I don't think you can create personal
Yeah, I
folders
don't
on
think you
iOS.
can. I
So you
don't
just
think
create,
can.
you create the personal folder, like for example, in Dropbox, and
Well,
just
you would
let it
create it in Outlook. You would
Info-
create. You
Oh,
would
you
have
would
to
create it in
through
Outlook.
the mail program that you're going to
Okay.
save it.
Right.
If you're making a
Mhm.
personal folder file, you
Yeah.
create it from the mail program that you're going to use it
Oh,
in. And
yeah.
that's why I'm saying I don't, that as far as I'm aware, you can't do that with iOS mail. You might be able to do it with iOS Outlook. And Diane,
Yeah.
we should ask Diana because it might be possible with Outlook on iOS.
So when you're creating this folder in Outlook, for example, this personal
Mhm.
folder, then do you browse within Outlook? Do you browse to your Dropbox or iCloud?
Yes,
Or-
yes.
Ah, okay.
It asks you where you want to save it. It
Okay,
asks you
yeah,
for a
okay,
name
yeah.
and it asks for where you want to
Where you
save
want to
it.
save it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that might be
Uh,
the roundabout way. Like if once you've saved it to your Dropbox, you might be able to access it with your on your if you go to Dropbox on your iPhone, you might be able to click the file and it might open it in your in your
Yeah,
Outlook or whatever
that's
mail program. Yeah,
Mm.
That'd be
that's the thing we don't.
interesting
Yeah,
to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? And then I guess, do you want to do rules or do you want me to talk about rules?
I can start it. I'm sure I've forgotten
Okay.
things as I
Okay.
I forgot. Message rules are usually what it is it's the message rules. You go into mail and there's an option called create message rules. So create message rules allows you to set sort of a number of parameters that you can use to tell your mail program. I think we were up to 11 now, Marcy. That tells your mail program to do something with the message. So let's just say you want to sort all your mail from Marsha into a folder called whatever, into a folder called AEBC President, for example. So what you would do is when you're creating your message rules, you'd say if the mail matches this address. So you would the if and then statements are basically pre-programmed in the sort. So it said so your first is if the mail program the message is from president@blindcanadians.ca. So you type that into the edit field. Then it's going to give you a number of options of what you can do with it. One of them, the options would be move to a folder. So you're going to move it to a folder called AEBC President. So then there you would type you put the folder name in, and if you've actually chosen a folder, this is where I get it kind of confused. I think if you said you wanted to move it to a folder, you can probably just go to your list of folders and
Yeah,
hit
you can.
enter on the folder that you want that to go to. Then this is a new rule, so the button's going to say something like create rule, and so then it creates the rule and then puts it into the rule statements. So then from that point on, if you've enabled the other option you can have, you can disable or enable rules. So you're going to enable the rule. So every time you get an email from Marsha when she's sending from her president's email address, it's going to automatically move those messages to your AEBC president folder. So then
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
back to Louise's example, if you set up a rule that said anything that where the to address is advocacy@ebc.groups.io, send it to the advocacy folder. And they work like a charm. They will move things immediately. And then your inbox doesn't have that committee in it. But the other side of the coin is that if it's a committee that you're up to date on and that you need to be up to date on, you need to remember to look in that folder for unread messages. Because your unread message count on your inbox is not going to tell you that you have advocacy messages. You're going to have to go look. So that's the the flip side, is that it's great to move messages into folders, but they can definitely add up. I have, I think, 15,000 in my NVDA folder. That's the NVDA list, and I just don't look at it every day, obviously. And every once in a while, I do a mass delete because I figure if I haven't looked at them for, however long it's been since the last time, that I'm not going to. But it's a good way of, if you want to then look, you can go to that folder, and so you want to see if anybody else has had a problem that you're having, you can just just do a search of that folder and find out if there's anybody that's already reported the problem that you've had, so that you don't have to repeat send everybody down a repeat channel. But yeah, message rules and folders are an amazing way to keep your inbox clutter free, or at least less cluttered than it would be otherwise.
So as Marcy mentioned, and that probably was a better example, because I know, and I've used the sort thing. It's I've done that exactly what like Marcy said. Just if it's to a certain address, I sort it and put it in the matching folder. But in it, folder automatic sorting is great if you're, especially for anyone that's been working, if you have to subscribe to a mailbox that nobody ever reads, but it and you just don't want it in your inbox, and then it just automatically goes to the folder, and you can just check it periodically and realize that there's 5,000 or 6,000 emails that are you can just get rid of, because they don't pertain to you at all. I used to use automatic sorting more often, but now I tend to just let things fall into my inbox, and try to be vigilant about manually moving things into folders, because of potentially missing important emails that might be sent to a committee email.
Yeah.
So like
Yes.
I'm not sure, Louise, if that's what you're doing with advocacy, if you're doing auto sort, but it's not, it's great for situations where you just don't want your inbox cluttered, and for sure that it's mail that you don't have to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
can I
great for
ask a
lists.
question then, Ashley? Because something came to my mind. I don't know if this would work. Okay, because yeah, you get ABC stuff. Could you make a folder that was called all ABC stuff, that it had all ABC title in it? You go into that box, then you're not missing, because you might say, okay, I know all my ABC stuff goes into that folder. Then you can move them from that folder into the actual folder, like training committee, advocacy committee. Could you do that?
Well, you could. You'd have to
Good.
do a couple of rules, though, because you've got things coming from the @blindcanadians.ca
Yeah,
domain,
that's true.
Yeah.
and you've
Okay.
got
No.
things coming from the @aebc.groups.io. So you'd
Yeah.
have to create two rules,
Yeah.
but that's okay. I think you can still do a rule, like I think there's still the capacity to do rules according to a domain. Usually lately, the kinds of rules that I've been making have been specific to addresses, so a list address. Because what I'll do is focus on the message, and then on the ribbon there's there's a create rule, and it will start with the message that I'm sitting on, and it will read the to address and the from address and ask me which one I want to use. So, but I think there is still a way you can start with a blank template with a whole bunch of different choices. And I think that there was one where you could put in a domain. So like I said, you'd have to do two rules, but it would
One for Blind
definitely
Canadians
catch
and one.
them all.
Yeah.
And then when you finish, when you were in that box, say with so
Yeah.
it says you would take then and move it to the, you still could move it from that folder to, so say there was,
Yeah.
because what I'm finding is sometimes, and I mean, you get emails from CCB, you get emails from ABC, you get emails from this, and that. And you're like, you're trying to sort through and find all the, which issues, let's say the training committee. You're trying to find all the messages to do with the minutes before you reply to somebody.
Yeah. Well, you can always, yeah, the other good thing to do is to learn the particular, the search keystroke or where it is in your particular mail program, because most mail programs have incredible search capabilities. The one on the iPhone is not grand because it only has an edit box. It doesn't have, you can't tell it what you can only tell it a word or words that you're looking for. And then it gives you then it asks you, well, okay, do you want the subject to contain it? Do you want the message to contain it? Do you want the
Okay,
to
okay.
contain it? In most computer mail programs, there are advanced search capabilities, so you can look for an email address specifically,
Or text with, or as I've done on
or
mail, you can even look for
yeah,
text within an email as well too. So if you know,
yeah,
you know that someone sent you a mail message a year ago that said, um, waiting for waiting for something test, you can type that specific text into a computer-based mail search and get that. Whereas with
yeah.
iOS,
It's not as
and
good.
it's not quite as
Yeah,
good. You can kind of get there eventually, but it takes a few. You have to basically refine a search in iOS a couple of times to get to that point.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank
But
you.
that's, yeah.
I think I'm going to say the way I am then, because I think it's going to be easier.
Yeah, like I'd say like the only time I've used auto sort myself personally is when I did, like when I said when I was working at a place where I had to where I received copies of emails basically whenever people logged into a server or updated it. And those ones I knew it basically, I sorted it and said, okay, when the email when it shows us from whatever, in this case it was from what server logs at whatever, then I just moved them to another folder. And then, like I said, it was one of those folders I only checked once in a while, because if I had to verify if someone was late for a meeting, for example. And then most of the time just once every couple weeks purge the mail of that folder in my mail account, because it was totally useless overall for me personally.
Right. So it depends. Again, you have to be careful. You have to
Yeah.
remember what you've done. So I know the rules that I've created. I have lots of them. And I know that the folders are being filled up every day. And it's my choice whether to check them. Whereas your inbox is sort of in your face and you're
Yeah,
gonna
I
check
guess
it
I'm
every
just using them one day that was like over 50 emails of one
Oh,
conversation,
I
trying to
get it.
follow it. And
Yeah,
that
I
was only
get
this
it.
month, and earlier this month. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh, why
Well,
didn't they
yeah,
just?
you can sort it. You can sort them. You can get them
The
to move.
the
But,
the one rule that every mail program will create, or your mail or your actual mail provider will create automatically, is the rule that moves things to your junk folder sometimes. And
yes, and
that one's always there. So in that case, with the junk folder, some like it's been a while since ABC mails ended up in a junk folder for me, but it does happen. So every once in a while, I would just say to people, you should probably make that a habit. Once or twice a week,
Yes.
check your junk folder just to make sure that you haven't missed something that should have been in your inbox. And in that case, then if you the act of moving the mail out of your junk folder back to your inbox might tell your mail program not to reclassify the next version of that mail from a domain, let's say if it's Blind Canadians or AE or whatever at aebc.groups.io, as junk and it should put it into your inbox again. But that's the
Yeah.
only one where that rule is always there for every mail program. So for everyone that has mail, we all have a junk folder, and it's one of those things that we don't think to check, but one probably should once in a while. I check mine a couple times a week just to make sure, but
And sometimes it's called spam. So
Yeah,
if your
yeah.
email program has a spam and a junk folder, best to check both because you don't know which one it's actually using. It's on my PC, one of my Gmail accounts sends
Spam.
things to the spam folder, whereas on my iPhone, that same Gmail account sends things to a junk folder.
And
So
and
it,
here's and then
yeah.
if you are getting things in your inbox that are clearly spam or junk, when you right click that message, one of the and the you can actually because the rule exists in your mail program, you can put report as junk or send to junk or spam, and it'll just put that mail message in that folder, so you don't have to. And then eventually, what ends up happening, especially if it's all of our mail accounts are online, it eventually tells Gmail or Shaw or whatever mail program, Outlook, that it is junk and just starts putting it there automatically too.
So
I-
those oh sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to make
Meg.
a comment about junk mail. There was a feature if you hit your context menu when you're on a email that you want to move out of junk folder, and you had the option of telling it to always trust the
Yes.
mail message from so and so.
Yeah,
But lately, I
Yeah.
haven't seen that.
It depends which email program you're
I'm using Outlook, Office 360.
Okay.
Yeah, and it
Yes,
did
it's
that.
still there.
Still
It's
there
still
because
there.
oh.
It's called if you have to go find it though. You have to keep going down that context menu, and the context menu is the same as Richard's right click.
Yeah.
Same thing. Shift F10, applications key, right click, all the same. And
Yeah.
there is one in Outlook. It's, I believe, if you hit the letter J, it will come up and it has block sender, never block sender, block sender's domain, never block sender's domain. And you can do that. That will not move the message.
No.
It used to,
Yeah.
but it sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. That's the thing is sometimes it's a product of the actual email account, what you can do.
Mhm.
So you may on the Shift F10 applications key right click, you might have a junk option on say Blind Canadians, but you might not have it on a Gmail account. So it seems to be account specific sometimes, what you can do and what you can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've just noticed it seems to have changed. Like I've been able to find it with Shift F10 or the contact
Yeah, it's there somewhere.
but yeah, maybe with
there
Windows 11
somewhere.
it's different. Yeah,
But
okay.
It is,
maybe
and
maybe it has to
yes,
do.
and Windows 11 is different too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be different with, but it also has to do that. It may like Marsha was saying, like if it like in Outlook might be like Gmail, and maybe the option is not even there, like it is with
Yeah.
and you'd have to check. I don't know if you still have access to your old Shaw account, Peggy.
No,
You could
I
check
got
and
rid
see
of
if
it.
it's there. Yeah,
No, I got rid of it. Yeah. No, it was in my Outlook, but I just in the last few months it's like, oh, I can't find it anymore. So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, it could be that the Gmail has changed.
I don't use
It's not
Gmail. I use Gmail, but not primarily though. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's your, oh no, your
Outlook.
He uses Outlook.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
it's whatever Outlook is allowing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
everyone is different.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay. Great.
yeah. Okay, wow. That's basically what we were thinking of covering today. And we're happy to do a session where we pick on specific mail clients. It's just hard to know who has what because there are so many out there. You know, you've got the Mac, you've got Windows, which you could have Thunderbird, you could have Outlook, you could have the Gmail app, you could have, I mean, there's just
Well,
so many mail accounts, but they all do the same thing. It's just they do them differently.
I guess,
And
sorry, I may be the only one, I don't know, that uses Gmail directly from the Gmail website.
Oh, no, you're not. I know someone who does,
Okay.
and I've been trying
That's
to
good.
talk her out of it.
Oh,
the other thing, Kathy, I don't know if you use the Gmail app on your Android phone or not, like because it behaves a little more like a mail program than the Gmail website on a PC
okay.
does. Yeah.
I do
Um,
have it, yeah.
but it still is. It
Yeah,
still
and
has Gmail issues.
and Gmail on the web will call these rules. They call them filters.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
So if
wondering, oh, when they're-
that's what they call them.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And if you want Gmail to really behave well, then you do your rule creation on the website with filters. They're filters because then Gmail will move the messages automatically. Whereas if you create the rules on your computer or iOS device, the rules run when Outlook is running. So there's a little bit of a lag. And if you create the rules on your computer, what could happen is you can open your iPhone, say, and the rule won't run because it's not created in Gmail. You created it on your computer mainly for your Outlook program, and you'll have all of those messages in your mailbox, in your inbox on your iPhone. But if you opened the computer app program, Outlook, whichever one, the rule will run and then it will remove those messages from your inbox and move them. That's why for Gmail especially, the better place to do the rules is on their website. And like I said, they call them filters.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'll
Yeah.
have to check that out. 'Cause-
Yeah.
I use Gmail exclusively.
But
Yeah,
you're
but you
using it within your
use,
mail program
yeah,
on your
you use
phone.
mail though on your phone.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
but I
using
use
mail and it's a
sometimes I
Gmail
open,
account, but I think you use mail on your phone if my memory
Yeah.
serves.
although I could open Gmail because they're both there, but I'm a bit foggy I just open mail.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. The Gmail app on the phone is okay. I've used it before.
But
It's all
this is the
right.
first time I've heard of rules. This is interesting.
Yeah, they're very nice to have. And I'm not sure if the Gmail app on the phone, if you can create rules there. Because you can't create rules, I don't think, or can you, under iOS? I don't.
Well, I just have that one box and I find the most recent Monday morsels and do everything from there or from
Yeah,
the ones that you send on Tuesday.
right. Yeah.
And that's easy.
Yeah, but you could create a folder and move those into that folder if you wanted to, and then you would just go to that folder to find the latest version of Monday Morsels or whatever email you wanted to put in there. So that's folders, rules, and sorting. That's a little bit the theory behind, organizing, different ways to organize mail so that it's not as overwhelming. Because it can be if you're
Yeah, I've got
on
about
many
800 and
lists.
something in there.
Yeah, I have. We won't talk about how many are in my inboxes. There are thousands.
It's like there's
Because I get too much mail, and
So-
I just, yeah.
it's like
But-
our joint. It's like my personal or my joint account. My husband and I have. I've never spent much any time organizing, and it's got. I think it's got 6 or 7,000 emails sitting in there.
Yeah, it's like I said, it just depends on what you need to do to find the information that you need and do it, with the most ease. So, if there are no more questions, are there any more questions? Okay, well then, I'm going to thank everybody then for coming. Stay tuned. We will probably at some point have a session on deep diving into a couple of the apps and showing you how to do this stuff. But basically, every mail app you can do most of this, and it really helps. Thank you to those who've listened on the replay on YouTube, and remember to like this
Thank you.
video and subscribe to our channel. Like this video and subscribe to this channel.